Jeff mains. Where do they come from? Where do they go? And why do I keep hearing M Shadows yelling at me about his nightmare? In a world where people can choose to play as a hot country singer, a hot rugby player, or a hot gaming gremlin, you'll find that it's a rare breed of person that looks at the roster and says, yep, give me the tatted up Canuck with a dad bod. And to drive the point home further, that type of person is rare. At the time of recording, the unofficial stats show that Jeff is ranked 37th out of 44 survivors in total pick rate. To compare this to world GDPs, because that's a comparison that makes total sense to do here and isn't stupid at all, that means that in a world of USAs, Chinas, and Germanys, Jeff is sitting pretty as a respectable but uninspiring Malaysia. Though, to be fair, if you squint your eyes and turn your head, Malaysia's flag kind of looks like the US's, so maybe that means Jeff has all the makings of a Sable Ward if we just realign our vision. Maybe. Just maybe. Hello everybody, I'm Das Food, and I've been trapped in a shipping container until I finish making videos on all possible DBD mains. It's hot and lonely in here, so please hit the subscribe button so I can convince my family I'm a micro e-celeb and that my hobby is valid. Thank you. Getting into the video proper, it's time to go through our usual schedule and talk about who is Jeff Johansen, how is Jeff Johansen, and most importantly of all, why is Jeff Johansen. We'll also dig into his perks to look for synergies, rate his sense of fashion, and finally, we'll close out with determining whether or not Jeff mains pass the vibe check. Are they invited to the party in my shipping container? We shall see. So firstly, let's talk about who Jeff Johansen is. Jeff is a male survivor who grew up in Canada's best province, Alberta. He's listed on the wiki as a quiet artist, though his taste in music is anything but quiet. Jeff is an absolute metalhead, and while he's probably too nice to say it, he likely thinks that your favorite metal bands are 1, too mainstream, 2, not very good, and 3, not really metal at all if you think about it. Jeff has a burning passion for art, and once word got around of how good he was with a brush, he started to receive more and more gigs. Most notable of all of his jobs, he was actually commissioned by Frank Morrison of the Legion to paint a mural at the group's hideout in the abandoned old Mount Ormond resort. That's right, Jeff actually met and had a working relationship with his killer before coming to the fog, which is actually pretty rare for non-licensed survivors. An animal lover through and through, Jeff adopted a rescue dog, and that pity quickly became his best friend. Not to bum you out, but the lore does state that when Jeff went missing, the dog was forced to become a stray again and now spends its days hunting for Jeff's familiar scent, unwilling to accept that it had been abandoned again. It's kind of like that one Futurama episode. If you don't know what I'm talking about, God bless you, continue on in your blissful ignorance. I wish I was you, but if you do know, I'd recommend getting professional help because that's a lot to unpack. That was some sad stuff. One last bit about Jeff is that he brews his own beer. I mean, the facial hair probably should have given that away. He's got a real IPA aesthetic, and he designs tattoos. All of that to say, Jeff is just kind of the best. I love him to death. He's a fantastic character, and I really think he deserves more popularity than what he has. Next up, we need to determine an answer to the following question. How is Jeff? And honestly, not so good. Lost his dog, lost his hobbies, his dad died right before the entity took him. Things are not great for our friend here. And finally, why is Jeff? Well, unlike licensed characters, most original characters can be summed up by saying, because behavior wanted to. I think it goes deeper than that with Jeff though. Jeff came about at a time where the devs were messing around with fresh appearances for survivors, things we hadn't really seen before, so he is definitely a product of his time. Jeff released in the Darkness Among Us chapter alongside Legion and Mount Ormond, as we kind of already mentioned. This means that he was released between Adam's massive lab coat and Jane's bountiful booty. Jeff definitely fits the bill of trying new things, as he features the game's most prominent beard to date, intricate tattoos rivaled only by Kate, and a sick dad bod, of which there is no debate. I decided to make that rhyme last second. I'm sorry, it's cringe and I know what I am. It's also worth noting that Jeff was DBD's second of 3 Canadian survivors, following Claudette and preceding Hattie. Given that Behavior Interactive is a proudly Canadian studio, one must applaud them for keeping their national pride from having them just flood the game with Canucks. They've only given us 3, but hey, they're all really cool, so good on you. Okay, so we know all we need to know about Jeffrey himself, but what about his perks? Like all survivors, Jeff brings 3 teachable perks into the game, those being, did we just become best friends? Hook be gone, and most controversial of them all, no chases for me, thanks. Going in alphabetical order, because why not? We'll start with, did we just become best friends? If that's too long of a name, you can shorten it and just call it DWJBBF for short. That's what all the cool people do. This perk activates after you unhook a survivor, they unhook you, you heal them, or they heal you. You just have to do one of these things, not all 4 of them. When activated, you gain permanent wall hacks on that survivor with unlimited range. There's no time limit on them. The wall hacks do go away though after you're hooked again. Overall, this perk pairs really well with all sorts of perks, but you're not going to get much use out of it if you can't stay upright for more than 30 seconds. I'd say it works particularly well with Will Make It, as you can quickly heal an unhooked teammate and then see them across the map. It goes well with any healing perk, really, so you can break out the based autodidact if you're feeling particularly cool, and it also works well with one of Jeff's other perks, though we're gonna get to that in a second. Basically, wall hacks are good, so pair this bad boy with pretty much any build out there and you'll be fine. After that, we have Jeff's funniest perk, Hook Be Gone. As simple as could be, this perk activates whenever you are unhooked by anybody, whether that is a teammate, yourself, or even the killer standing too close so you get the unhook prompt, which I guess is still yourself doing it, so maybe a little redundant there. It also reveals the killer's aura for 6 seconds, which can help you know if you have time to heal or if they're on their way back as soon as they get the unhook notification. If it's a nemesis, that's absolutely going to happen. If it's anybody else, it's still probably going to happen. That's just the strategy right now. This perk pairs well with any build where you're trying to make hooking a little harder for the killer, so it can go nicely with something like Saboteur or Boil Over, and it can also work well with anti-slugging perks like Unbreakable or Tenacity, as the killer may leave you on the ground longer while they wait for the hook to come back. With that in mind, I guess even something like Power Struggle could potentially pair with this one if you're just looking to really flex on the killer. It's not a great perk, but it has uses, and above all else, it's pretty funny. Not Dramaturgy, Blastmine, or Pebble funny, but still funny. Finally, we have Jeff's most beloved and hated perk alike. No chases for me, thanks. This perk was recently changed, and changed for the better, by the way, and now gives players 1 token at the start of the match. Afterward, they'll receive an additional token for every 30 seconds they spend in chase. These tokens activate every time the killer uses an aura reading ability that would have revealed your location, making it very good against roughly 1 billion perks and 2 trillion add-ons. Because this perk exists so that you can avoid chases in a game that's really all about chases, it's best to pair it with objective-based perks like Prove Thyself or Hyper Focus, so you can at least contribute by doing generators. You have to take chases to regain tokens now, so it's also best to pair it with an exhaustion perk of your choice, and maybe even an anti-tunneling perk. Killers and teammates alike will mock you for playing the game incorrectly, but no, honestly, fair point. You get better at chases by engaging in chases, so please don't try to play too stealthily. That said, this perk can come up huge when it comes time to start the game, hammer out a nearly finished gen, or search for hatch at the end of a game. So it's not entirely problematic, even though I don't love its base design, just because I think it promotes a playstyle that's really probably not for the best of the game. That said, some people love it, so don't let me tell you how to live your life. Now that we've covered Jeff's lore and perks, we have come to the most important part of the video, fashion. Going into the store, we see that Jeff has a lot of cosmetics here. So he's got the Flying Roadie, which is actually just recolors, and it's a couple of his old cosmetics thrown together. From there, we get the Night Shift pajamas. Very cozy, very cool. I like that he can get cozy here. We get the Cheech and Chong look for Jeff, where he's having a beach day. It's lovely. How fun. We can all get behind that. We have the Reluctant Warrior, where he's got his Khal Drogo eyeshadow going on, and he's on his Conan the Barbarian arc. Very fun, lots of chest hair, love to see it. We have Titan of Fire, which is from the Greek collection, and I think this one's really cool, and I really like that it's got the little point on the torso where he's got blood around his belly where he was stabbed at a concert. That's a nice little detail. We have Into the Sunset. This is Biker Jeff. Who doesn't want Biker Jeff? It's great. I love it. We'll do the green ones as well. Veteran Roadie, and then the other one, which that one has the twin snakes, and then the other one looks the exact same, but it's got what looks like a Baron Corbin t-shirt on, except it's just a wolf one. We're not gonna do all the recolors. We're just gonna scroll down to all of his other purple ones. and one additional green one. This one is currently in the Rift right now, and basically he's supposed to look like he's a member of Ghost, I guess. That's kind of the look I'm getting. The mask is very similar, so very fitting for a metalhead if you consider Ghost metal. Next, he has his black metal cosmetic, which is probably his most famous. It's probably also his most hated. People that don't like Jeff don't really like this one, but I think it's cool, and the head pairs really, really funnily with other cosmetics. Next, you get the cold weather cocoon. This was an Amazon Prime exclusive, I believe. I may be wrong on that. The pants, not great. The beanie, forgettable, but the drip with the jacket is incredible. I love it. I love the moth so much. It's great. This one is kind of his Count Dracula look. He just looks like a classy vampire here, and I think that's a lot of fun for Jeff to dress up a little because he tends to be pretty dressed down. So very cool, big fan. Next, we get Metalhead Santa Claus, which is, you know, just great. It's gaudy, it's over the top, but it's a fun Christmas one, and I think it's fun. I don't know. I'm not going to criticize it here. Next, we get this one. It's his Mad Max look, and there's actually two versions of it. So you can get the blue or the red, depending on which one you like more. I would say generally I don't love the head, but I love the rest, and I think that's good. We have his pirate aesthetic, which uses the black metal jacket again. So if you compare them side by side, you'll see that that's exactly what it is. It's the same jacket. It's just been recolored, and he put on some Fiend pants, you know, Bray Wyatt the Fiend. So that's great. Next, we have him working as a Blockbuster attendant, which is hilarious. It's cool. It's not actually Blockbuster. It's the video combo, but yeah, it's a fun one. Very casual. Next, we have the Rowdy two-piece. Love it. Love it. I love to see Jeff in a suit because it feels so out of character that it's funny to see. That's fun that they did that. We have the opening act. It's just a recolor of his Greek collection one. I think it's pretty ugly. I don't think that the camo or anything goes especially well, but you know, this may be one where you like one piece or the whole thing together. Next, we have his New Year event, which was for Year of the Rat. And this is probably his most popular. I said that black metal was probably his most well-known. This is probably his most popular. That's what you're going to see people rocking for Jeff a lot. And it's definitely one of his best ones. Now we go over to his torso pieces, and he has a few exclusive torso pieces, but you know, I mean, he's got the Murder Mill. He's got the Meet Your Maker one, all the stuff that everybody gets, right? All of the original survivors get these. But then he's got one of his Pitbull, which I cry tears of joy. I love it, but it makes me sad. And he's got one of the better Christmas sweaters in the game. So Jeff is really bringing it. Really, really good stuff all around. Of course, he also has like the crown, and he'll have a mask for the anniversary event, and just all the stuff you expect from an original survivor. And then when we talk about original survivors, I tend to like to do, when they have a lot of cosmetics, I want to give them a best case scenario for a disaster piece and for one that's a masterpiece. So a funny one and a serious one. So for Jeff, my funny one, my disaster piece is this right here. It has the dog head mask to let you know you got that dog in him. Of course, it shouts out his Pitbull, how fun. And then you pair it with the old Saint Nick overcoat. It's bulky, it's bad. The yellow pants are just horrible, but it comes together to make you like a poison dart frog. You know, killers will avoid you. And then the next one is actually just his Year of the Rat cosmetic, where the only thing I change is I put him in jeans because Jeff's a cozy casual guy, and I want to give him a cozy casual cosmetic. So that's his best one. I think if you rock either of those, you're really going to get some comments because you'll look great, you'll feel great. What could be better? And then finally, we get to the part of the video where we see if Jeff mains pass the vibe check. You've played with Jeff mains, probably not that many of them, but you've seen them around, and you gotta determine, do you like the vibe you get from Jeff mains? And I know that people are probably gonna think that we're gonna get to the end, we're gonna get to this part on every survivor, and I'm gonna be like, yes, they passed the vibe check, but no. Some of y'all don't pass the vibe check, and I'm just letting you know ahead of time that maybe your favorite survivor does not pass the vibe check. However, if you're a Jeff main, rest easy, knowing that of course Jeff mains passed the vibe check. Jeff mains passed the vibe check for a few reasons. Firstly, I do think they were drawn to this character because they probably see a little bit of themselves in him. So you've got the people that they like the music they like the art they like, which I know music is art, blah, blah, blah. They like to maybe brew their own beer, have their own eclectic hobbies. They see themselves in Jeff a little bit. And also, these are not going to be the sweaty players where you have somebody like Ace, who's a pretty cool character, and you would think, oh, I bet Ace mains are so silly and goofy. But because Ace is kind of on the shorter side and he's the quietest survivor, survivor, he actually gets one of the sweatiest communities of any mains. Jeff is on the entirely other side. He is actually the loudest survivor, and he's tall and he's bulky, so he can't hide behind anything, and you hear him from halfway across the map. So this is hard mode. This is DBD hard mode. You may as well slap some no mither on there because it's hard to be a Jeff main. So all of that to say, nobody's brought to Jeff for the wrong reasons. People come to this character because they relate to this character and because they love this character. And I find that they're typically very laid back, very cool. Yes, Jeff mains absolutely pass the vibe check. But this is the part where I turn it over to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know which survivor needs to get the next one of these, needs to get their own mains video, because I'm gonna work on more of these. I don't know if we'll do them all back to back to back to back, but I do intend to power through at least a few of them before we go back to maybe more traditional topics. So please let me know who you want a video on, and please let me know, did I do justice to Jeff mains or did I misrepresent them? I'm always eager to hear what you gotta say, but until the next video, I have been Das Food. Bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness.